Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another special ranking video. Tonight, I will be ranking all 5 of the Dirty Harry films. Now, unlike previous ranking videos of Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, I don't believe that the Dirty Harry films have a bad film. So, even though a film may be at the bottom of this list, it does not mean that it is bad, unlike the other lists that I mentioned. So, with that being said, let's move on to our number 5 on this list. And that is The Enforcer, released in 1976. This one, Clint Eastwood is just as good as always as Dirty Harry Callahan. And he's teamed with a new partner, this time a female partner, Tyne Daly, playing Inspector Kate Moore. And being a sort of a fan of Cagney and Lacey, I kind of enjoyed her performance in here, but at the same time, I knew that given Harry Callahan's track record for partners, as we've established in previous films and earlier in this film when John Mitchum's character, who had been in the previous 2 films, is killed, things don't always end well for Callahan's partners, and they go completely predictable by the end of this film, and they end up killing the Kate character off. I thought that was predictable, and I don't think the villain, Bobby Maxwell, played by Deveron Bookwalter, is a very good villain. I think he is the worst and weakest of the villains in the whole Dirty Harry franchise. And Bradford Delman's character of Captain Jerome McKay is an annoying boss character. And unfortunately, that is the only thing that makes Harry Callahan's lines as memorable as they are, just because most of his lines are directed toward the stupidity of McKay.
There's a 7-point suppository, Captain. What did you say? I said stick it in your ass.
So he doesn't have as many famous one-liners as he does in any of the other films in the series. Hence the reason why this is my number 5 on this list. Coming in at number 4, we have Magnum Force, released in 1973. Now this one also has an excellent performance, as usual, from Clint Eastwood. I don't think he gave a bad performance in any of these films as Dirty Harry. Now this one, I enjoyed the fact that we had David Soul, Tim Matheson, Kip Niven, and Robert Urich playing these murderous motorcycle cops. But the reveal that they are being secretly led by Lieutenant Neil Briggs, played by Hull Holbrook, I don't think that hit very well with me. I don't think it was a very well executed reveal, and hence the reason why this film is not higher on my list. Now, I know there's a lot of people that think that this is the best Dirty Harry movie, and that's fine. I mean, again, this film continues what I mentioned in the previous number 5, where Felton Perry's character of Inspector Early Smith is killed. So, you get that whole thing of, Callahan not being able to keep a partner. They always get killed. And another thing that ranks this one higher than The Enforcer for me, and it's for the shock value of the scene more than anything, was the fact that I was a big fan of Three's Company growing up, so seeing Suzanne Summers in this sequence at a pool party, number 1, I was like, oh cool, Suzanne Summers is in this. Then 2, she goes topless, and I'm like, oh shit, Suzanne Summers just went topless in this. And then one of the motorcycle cops comes in and kills her and everyone else at that party. And I was like, oh well shit, now Suzanne Summers has been killed in this movie. So it was always memorable to me just because of that scene more than anything else, even including all of the villainous motorcycle cops. Coming in at number 3 is Dirty Harry, released in 1971. This film, to me, was very good for Callahan because he got some of his most memorable lines in here, especially this one.
You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
And Ben, it was the first film. We have Renee Santoni as Inspector Chico Gonzalez, and he is shot by Andy Robinson's Scorpio killer. But he doesn't die, thankfully. So it's one of those rare occasions where Harry's partner is not killed. And it happened to be the first film that this happened in. Most of the later films end up killing Harry's partner. But the performance of Andrew Robinson as the Scorpio killer, who was inspired by the real-life Zodiac killer, is one of the best villains in this whole series. And that is the reason why it makes my number 3, just on his strength. Now, I don't think the production quality on this first film is as good as the higher films on this list that I will be getting to, and that is why it only makes my number 3 and doesn't make any higher on this list. Coming in at number 2, we have Sudden Impact, released in 1983. Now this one is not a lot of people's favorite for the obvious reason of Sandra Locke is playing the character of Jennifer Spencer in it. But to me, even though she's not that great of an actress, I thought giving her this role of this disturbed woman who is out for revenge against the perpetrators who gang raped her and her sister, Beth, who was left in a catatonic state after that. And then she starts to get revenge on them one by one. I thought that was a pretty good role for her just because of the fact that she doesn't have to emote a lot when she's this soulless, angry killer, which I think she works well playing that role. In a way, though, this film does feel like it's 2 separate films because you have stuff going on with Harry Callahan that is completely separate from the things going on with Jennifer Spencer. So, and that makes sense because this was basically, the script was revised and made into a Dirty Harry film. It was originally just going to be a film about the Jennifer Spencer character, and then they added the Dirty Harry elements to the script later on. So that does kind of hurt because it does feel like it's 2 separate films until they kind of merge near the end. But this one does have one of the best lines from Dirty Harry.
Go ahead. Make my day.
And, in my opinion, it has very strong villains in these gang rapists that are being defended, ironically, by Pat Hingle's character of Chief Lester Jennings, which sort of makes Pat Hingle, in a way, a bad guy without actually being a bad guy in the film. So he has a lot of pathos to his character as opposed to just being a full-on villain in this film. Whereas I don't think that was the case with Magnum Force, and that's why it's lower on this list with the character Hal Holbrook played. So that's why this one makes my number 2 on this list. And coming in at number 1, we have The Deadpool, released in 1988. Now this one, I just love it may not be the strongest villain with David Hunt playing the character of Harlan Rook, but the way the character is executed and the way that he is trying to frame Liam Neeson's character of Peter Swan, this horror director, I think that hit me in that way because I am a horror fan, so seeing Liam Neeson playing this horror director was really cool for me. You also have an excellent performance from Patricia Clarkson as Samantha Walker, and she is super memorable in this. And on top of that, you have Jim Carrey playing Johnny Squares, his first serious role in his career. And other than a sequence where he is lip-syncing to Guns N' Roses, I really enjoyed his performance. And I mentioned earlier that partners to Callahan do not fare too well in these movies. Well, this is just like Dirty Harry, the original film. this is one where you actually have Harry's partner does not get killed. Evan C. Kim's character of Inspector Al Quan actually survives this film. He gets a little banged up, but he does survive, thankfully. So that's a plus for me in one of these films, that they don't go predictable and kill off his partner in there. But combination of Clint Eastwood, Liam Neeson, Jim Carrey, and Patricia Clarkson in this is just too good not to be my number one on this list.
Fuck me, buddy. I'll kick your ass so hard you left to unbutton your collar to shit.
And that is why I have ranked it so high. So what do you think of this list? Do you agree with our list? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments down below. And as usual, if you enjoyed this ranking, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan. And if you missed last week's ranking video, check out the link above. And if you missed any of our other ranking videos, check out this playlist and get caught up.